As a species, humans are susceptible to extinction should the right conditions present themselves. That said, our survival is dependent on the understanding of previous mass extinction events and the development of resources to either prevent or cope with these types of events in the future. The relationship between mass extinctions and the paleomagnetic reversals has long been debated because of the lack of evidence or misinterpretation of data in this field. Through our research, we have concluded that there is evidence of the two being related, with the evidence leading to a wide variety of theories, both causal and otherwise. Some of the hypotheses for the relationship between paleomagnetic reversals and mass extinction dwell in subjects such as an increase in solar radiation as a result of the weakening of the magnetic field, causing mutations, or oxygen depletion. A third theory is that mass extinctions and the paleomagnetic reversal are not causally related, but are both effects from the same cause, possibly superplumes or other instabilities in the Earth's core. When the magnetic field around the Earth reverses, there is a period of transition in which it weakens. The magnetic field typically acts as a shield against local cosmic radiation activity. This is similar to the latitude effect, which is simple. Far greater levels of cosmic radiation are observed at the poles, where the magnetic field is weaker, than at the equator. This effect is what causes the aurora borealis and the aurora australis, close to the north and south poles, respectively. During periods of magnetic field reversals, or wanderings, the amount of cosmic radiation which reaches ground level is much higher. Although polar movement periods do not let in unlimited radiation, it is not unlikely that the increased radiation could have a devastating mutagenic effect on the genome of the flora and fauna of Earth, although some scientists still believe that, should the geomagnetic field be removed, the consequences of the radiation would be negligible. This stems from the belief that the Earth's atmosphere is thick enough that it would compensate for increased levels of radiation. Another hypothesis is that there could be a relationship between the strength of the Earth's magnetic field and oxygen levels on Earth. Oxygen can escape the atmosphere and be lost into space when given enough momentum from solar winds. The magnetic field reduces the transfer of momentum from solar winds and prevents most oxygen from escaping the atmosphere. However, during time of geomagnetic polarity reversals, the magnetic field is significantly weaker and more oxygen is able to escape, leading to a possibly catastrophic decrease in global oxygen levels. Simulations show that geomagnetic reversals could increase the oxygen escape rate by 3 or 4 times. They also showed that at least 50% of the oxygen loss during the fourth mass extinction could be attributed to oxygen escape due to the weakened magnetosphere. Low oxygen levels is a known cause of extinctions, and thus the magnetic reversal could also be a cause. Evidence has shown that mass extinctions typically occur gradually over millions of years, with periods of impulsive extinctions. This pattern suggests that the cause of these extinctions is a continuous degradation of environment. A drop in oxygen levels could be a cause for environmental degradation, as it would lead to a decrease in biodiversity of flora and fauna. It is commonly believed that younger suns are more active, and that during the Phanerozoic era, our sun would have produced more frequent space weather events. This would make it far more likely that oxygen escape could have reached catastrophic levels during the Phanerozoic. If this theory is valid, then our magnetosphere is of far greater value than previously thought, and more attention should be paid to studying and preserving it. Another suggestion regarding the link between paleomagnetic reversals and mass extinctions is that the magnetic field itself could have a substantial impact on biology. There is evidence that low-frequency electromagnetic exposure, similar to geomagnetic field disruptions, can impact living systems. In laboratory tests, extremely low-frequency magnetic fields correlated with a variety of changes in rats, including DNA synthesis, behavior, and cancer cell growth. From this, it can be concluded that similar changes could occur in many organisms globally were there a geomagnetic field disruption. Aside from a direct causal link, one could instead consider paleomagnetic reversals and mass extinctions as two effects of the same cause. Several mass extinction events correlate with paleomagnetic reversal events, leading to the belief that they are connected in some way, and there is substantial evidence that both mass extinctions and paleomagnetic reversals are caused by instability in the core and lower mantle. Mantle instability can be anything from thermal anomalies to superplumes, which are large mantle surges that are convected to the surface of the Earth. Mantle plume events seem to correlate with paleomagnetic reversals and mass extinctions, which can be taken as evidence that the three things are, in fact, connected. It has long been speculated that the formation of magma plumes and other thermal anomalies are related to the activity of the paleomagnetic field. This can be shown by the correlation between the major reversals and the key changes in the structure of the Earth's mantle. The Illawarra reversal is a particularly good example of this. The Illawarra reversal is a period of time stretching from the late Permian to mid-Triassic, during which there were frequent magnetic field reversals. Also during this time was a superplume. The superplume caused thermal instability in the Earth's core's geodynamo, which is believed to have caused frequent and chaotic geomagnetic field reversals. The superplume also caused atmospheric cooling, which led to the first loss of biodiversity of warm-adapted species. Around 5 million years later, the superplume produced volcanic hazards and ash clouds, which led to a further loss of biodiversity. Paleomagnetic reversals do not occur at constant time intervals, like sun activity does, for example, but they can vary in time from a few tens of thousands of years to supercrons, which is a period of time between paleomagnetic reversals that lasts longer than 10 million years. This period of time is adequate for major thermal structural changes to take place in the Earth's mantle, which is strong evidence for a correlation between mantle changes and the paleomagnetic reversals. The geodynamo, the fluid outer core, is evidenced to be influenced by these structural changes, and as such, influences the magnetic field generation. Despite the small number of examples that geologists have to work with in relation to the correlation between paleomagnetic reversals and mantle plumes, the evidence points to a relationship between them, albeit weak. Mantle plume formations can be associated with both an extreme frequency of reversals or to an absence of reversals. Despite this, there is an unvarying inclination for the paleomagnetic field to move towards the epicenters of recent lower mantle plumes, showing that perhaps mantle plumes can be the cause of paleomagnetic reversals, or at least wanderings. In addition to perhaps causing paleomagnetic reversals, a superplume can also be hypothesized as being responsible, at least in part, for mass extinctions. The Illawarra reversal is again an excellent example of this. The end Paleozoic mass extinction was a crucial event in the evolution of modern-day life. An estimated 75 to 96% of marine species went extinct. The extinction was a two-phased event. First, the atmosphere cooled, causing the extinction of warm-adapted species, and second was incredible oxygen depletion, both of which led to a loss of biodiversity. The first extinction began about 260 million years ago, when fossil evidence suggests a cooling of the atmosphere, which led to unfavorable conditions for tropical adapted fauna. Available data suggests that this led to mass mortality on a global scale, suggesting that its cause would have influenced organisms worldwide. Secondly, during the late Permian, a state of superanoxia, or oxygen depletion, occurred, which lasted up to 20 million years. It is obvious that this would have reduced the carrying capacity of the Earth and led to another event of global mortality. At the same time as these extinction events, there was also interesting occurrences beneath the Earth's crust. The mid-Permian was a time of intraplate volcanism, or volcanism caused by plume activity. Tuff beds in China from around 260 million years ago have been found to be over a meter thick, suggesting that the source volcanoes were of enormous size. Similar tuff layers have been found in deep-sea samples, further suggesting that a massive, highly explosive volcano in Pangaea was not unlikely. Such long-distance ash delivery would require a supervolcano which dwarfs even Yellowstone. The tuff samples recovered were also alkaline, suggesting an origin deep in the mantle and possibly related to a mantle superplume. From this evidence, it is difficult to dispute that there is at least some relationship between paleomagnetic reversals and mass extinctions. It is difficult to tell the exact nature of the link between reversals and mass extinction events. The main theories include oxygen depletion, cosmic radiation increases, or a common tie such as mantle plumes. However, we are still far from a definite answer. Regardless, this is a topic which could use quite a lot more research, as it is still uncertain if another mass extinction event could occur that would eliminate the human race. In the future, research should focus more on the magnetosphere, either as a means of protecting life on Earth, or as a warning sign of impending core instability and mass extinction events. Though more research is certainly needed, it is clear that the magnetosphere is of greater value than at first glance. It has been connected to mass extinctions in the past, and hopefully we can use it to prevent them in the future.